Got it. Hello, guys. I think we're live. Can you please let us know if we are? And I'm trying something new with Rumble Studio right now, and I've never done it yet. This is something new, a new Rumble feature, and I don't think I did it right. So hopefully I did. Do you see anything yet, Tony?
I
The
got notified.
bar is moving on the bottom, but no picture yet.
Yeah,
Nothing yet, but there's usually a delay.
I
Yeah.
got notices on my screen that said going live stream. Is that okay? And I clicked OK so I wouldn't leave the chat. And
Right.
then up upper left corner it says live on my screen. So we are live, at least according to my device here.
Right. It says okay.
It says
Hang on.
offline here.
Yeah, it says
Yeah, it
offline.
still
It
says
doesn't show us.
offline.
Well, hang on. Let's
Also,
find
just a
out.
huge delay.
No, it's not that.
Yeah.
Should have freaking. The only thing I can try to do is.
Oh, we're live.
Are
It
we?
popped up. It just popped up.
Oh God.
There's like a 30-second delay.
Okay.
All
I
right.
still don't. I still don't even see anything. But
Boom. There's a commercial. I get
okay.
a commercial.
Yeah. It's a commercial.
All right. Sorry about the tech issues,
Sorry,
guys.
guys.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the roundtable, the first one for Rebels of Disclosure. We have a lot of announcements tonight, a lot of stuff to go through. We're excited to be here. First things first, we're going to give away a free live stream ticket tonight. And for those who can't make it to the conference, obviously, and the instructions are below in the description. But if you want to win a free live stream ticket, just go to our new website, journeytotruth.online. That link is below. Sign up for the email list if you haven't, and then email us the word free in all caps, and you'll be entered to win. And we're going to send out a mass email tomorrow, and the winner will be announced on that email. And we'll repeat the instructions a little bit later on for the people who aren't here yet. And if you don't know, we've made a few additions to the lineup at the conference. We've added Margie Kay. She spoke last year. She's got some really awesome new information she's going to share about some of her suppressed memories from a government program. And she's a remote viewer as well. And she's helped find 67 missing people at this point, maybe even more. She is very talented, and we're very excited to have her part of the team. And then Derek and Daniel from Shred the Veil, if you guys know who they will be joining us this year. And their grandfather, Daniel Salter, wrote the book Life with a Cosmos Clearance, and they're going to be sharing new developments in their research and stuff they're uncovering about their grandfather, which is really awesome, and some of his involvement with some of the top secret programs and even the Wingmakers, if you guys know who they are. So there's a lot of new developments, and we're very excited to have them with us. And tonight also, we are offering 10% off the live stream pass and the 4-day pass. If you click the link below in the description, you get 10% discount to the conference. And those links won't be there forever. So take advantage of that and grab a ticket at a 10% discount.
Was Daniel Salter in the Disclosure Project video?
Yes. So he actually didn't speak on stage. I think he was one of them. Something happened to him right before he officially got to speak, if I'm not mistaken. Or am I thinking of someone else, Aaron?
I'm not sure, but I don't know, because there were the Disclosure Project, a lot of people don't know this, was actually 2 days, not just 1 day. And the second day was private. It was like
okay,
privately done for like less people or something like that. He might have spoke on like that day, maybe.
Oh, I saw him on the Disclosure Project witness testimony video, which was not the live. It wasn't the National Press Club thing. It was a video that had interviews from all the different disclosure participants.
Oh, okay.
It's really an amazing video if you can get a chance to see it. I think better than the National Press Club thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, I don't think I have seen that.
But that is him. That is him. So yes, he was part of it. And anyway, they have been discovering a lot of new things about their grandfather and what he was involved in, and it's some pretty wild stuff.
I do
Anyway,
have his book though, and I read it, and it's amazing. I highly recommend his book.
and
Life with the Cosmos Clearance is what it's called.
yes. And the last announcement, I want to, I'm going to put the spotlight on Jackie. So if you don't know who Jackie Kenner is, she spoke with us actually at the Secret Space Conference. She helped Tony write both of his books, and she
And
does
then
a,
some.
and then some. She
And
does
then
a
some.
number of amazing things, including helping us build our new website that you guys are all familiar with now. If you're not, journeytotruth.online, that link is below. But it would not have happened without Jackie. And I mean, she really pulled through, and it was like, it was a blessing. I literally was sitting there doing a meditation the night before, asking for some assistance with, just everything we're doing right now, including the conference. And Jackie's like, "Hey, do you need any help?" The next morning, I'm like, "This is crazy." And we got on a Zoom call, and next thing you know, we're building this website. And, I had started building it, and Jackie looked at, she goes, "Let me see what you got." And then she looked at it and she goes, "Okay, I'm going to talk to you like you're not my friend." And she
That's
just,
my specialty.
That's
Yeah.
that's a great start.
right.
Yeah.
So she helped us make, get it a little more professional, and it turned out amazing. So thank you, Jackie.
I am
Yes,
so happy
thank
to
you
be
so
able to
much.
help. I'm so happy to be a part of this movement. So thank you for letting me assist. And you had pretty good bones there. It just needed a little tweaking.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank
So
you.
tonight we are joined by 3 secret space program experiencers and Sherry.
Sure.
And some lady named Sherry did.
No, so welcome to the
Yeah.
show, everybody. If you don't know who everybody is, Tony Rodriguez, which I'm sure everyone here probably knows who he is. And we're very excited to have Nira Isley with us. She's going to be speaking at the conference, and I think this is her first appearance since 2018 at Dimensions of Disclosure, which is the first conference that Aaron and I were at. And we're very excited to hear what she has to bring us this year. And obviously, Sherry. Oh, look, Tony's got her book.
Heyo.
Amazing.
I
I grabbed it because I
Wait.
want to look at when it was published because Niera was, I'm sorry to take over or sorry to
ahead.
interject, but Niera was telling this story and talking about this stuff long before it was cool. And way back when she had her very credible evidence and very credible witness account of what happened to her and her career. So it's for those that don't know who
Boom.
she is or what she went through, it's a pinnacle. It's a very important thing especially with the way that the information is developed and how they've tried to sweep it under the rug. So Niera is like a hero to me. So I'm honored. When you said come on a roundtable with Niera and Jackie and Sherry, I was like, oh God, yeah, like I'm happy to be here. Like I'm looking up
I'm
to
way
these.
looking forward to seeing you in person at last.
Me too. I can't wait to meet you.
Right.
We've been friends, and somebody tried to stop us from being friends at some point. Some external force, changed our settings on our Facebook so we couldn't talk to each other, unbeknownst to us, and it set us back. I would have known you years earlier. So I'm just honored to be here. So anyhow, sorry guys, go.
No, you're good.
Got
It's
a big
amazing. And Sherry, that was only a joke, as you know. Sherry, we love her. She spoke last year, and she is a force to be reckoned with, and her information is, top notch, and she's doing so much. I don't even know how you handle the workload and the books that you're pumping out with the Aramis Collective. And I'm really excited to be working on a new video that Sherry's going to be premiering at the conference this year. So, we're kind of working on that behind the scenes, but welcome everybody. And I guess, Sherry, while we're talking about you, I guess we'll just turn the mic over to you and let you introduce yourself and let everybody know kind of what you're going to be bringing to us this year.
Okay, well, thank you for having me once again, and I'm honored to be on this panel with each and every one of you, even though I haven't met all of you yet. I feel like we all know each other on some level, and we're just reuniting. For me, what I'll be talking about this year is a continuation of last year. So last year, I really got into what is in my third book, Star Seeds and the Great Awakening, which goes into New Earth children, disconnecting from labels, 3D interference, and where I see us going as a collective in the future, with the assistance of the star seeds that continue to come through. So my newest book that I'm working on right now, called Courage to Change the Freedom Movement, is a continuation of that. For those of you that don't know, I'm an intuitive energy healer, registered veterinary technician, mother of 3, author, and I have an online virtual alternative education platform for children. And I work with children all over the world, as well as adults all over the world from many different countries, for over a decade. And I do intuitive healing and soul readings for people to dive deep into their cellular and soul healing and their genetic blueprints and their galactic history, and help them discern kind of their journey in this life. And through all of the people that I've worked with over the years, many of which have been geared towards children in the last 5 years, I have obtained so much information, so much random tidbits of information that have come together to really create such a catalog of important and significant tidbits of our history, but also where we're going as a collective and how we're getting there, and all the things that have been working against us. So all the information that I present is not researched at all. I hate research, and I was a terrible student. To this day, I still would not be a good student. I don't have a long attention span for things. So everything I know comes from my sessions with people and the information that I receive for each individual person, and then I collectively put the information together. And so I'm presenting more on that this year, a continuation of 3D interference, a lot of new groups of collectives that are coming through, where we're going with Aramis Creative Learning Center and our nonprofit, the Aramis Collective, where I see the star seeds going now, who are coming in, how animals are integrating, the shadow beings, how they are playing a role, how the 3D is becoming a toxic shock environment for many, and what that means and why, and how it's affecting our bodies, and more information about what the children are doing, how they're working in the void. There's just so many things that I'm going to be talking about. I actually don't know how I'm going to I have more information this year than I did last year, so I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to present it in an articulate way, but I'm going to try my best.
I know it'll be perfect. And I want to personally thank you for helping us with the Tartaria webinar and the video you did for that. So if you guys don't know, Sherry made a video specifically for our Tartaria webinar, containing information that came through her sessions about Tartaria and that civilization. And it was amazing. It's at the very end of the webinar. And I just wanted to thank you again for doing that for us, because you didn't have to. And it was a long video, and we really appreciate that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was fun.
For those of you guys who are just now showing up and getting here, we are giving away a free live stream pass tonight. And if you want to win the live stream ticket, the instructions are below, but all you have to do is go to our new website, Journey to Truth Online, and send us an email, sign up for the email list, and send us an email with the word free in all caps, and you're entered to win. And we'll announce the winner tomorrow. And we're offering you guys 10% off of the 4-day passes and live stream passes with the links below in the description if you still want to join the conference. We're going to go ahead and move over to Niara now. Thank you for being here with us, Niara. I know it's been a while since you've spoken at a conference, and I know you're excited about it. So what you told me the other day, what the topic or the title of your talk was going to be, but I already forgot. What was that?
Yeah, well, this is what it will be unless I have some big epiphany and change it. But I'm gonna be calling my talk "When Extraordinary Things Happen to Ordinary People." And because I don't like to make a big deal about who I am and everything else like that. I'm just a regular person who had these things happen to her, and then tried to do the best she could with it from the point of remembering and processing and all that other stuff. Long story short, I sat on my story for 14 years before going public. I was kind of afraid to go public because it was heavy duty stuff. B, I just wanted to have a normal life. But so I got life coach certification, relationship coaching certification. I had breathwork certification. I really am a fairly talented artist when I can get at it. And so I tried everything. I tried to get my life coaching thing going. And that didn't work. Then I tried to get things going as an artist. That didn't work. So I fired my business coach gently And I sat down and I just kind of went quiet and I said, okay, universe, what is my thing to do on this planet? Because obviously these things I've been trying so hard to do aren't it. And before I even finished that sentence in my mind, the answer came back, you have to tell your story. And I thought, oh, the one I've been avoiding telling for 14 years? Yes, that one. And so I thought, well, okay, well, I'll go public. So I went public in December of 2018 with an article, got lots of interviews, hundreds of emails came pouring in. Everybody wanted to interview me. And so I did a lot of interviews. But people got so hung up on the drama, woman raped and drugged and worked over in a Black Ops project out at Area 51. You know, lots of drama, lots of sensationalism. And I just thought, this isn't me. This is not who I am, all this drama and crud, you know. And so I thought then that's when I decided I had to write my book and tell my story my way. And probably the best documentary I've been in to date has been Above Majestic. And it was done with David Wilcock and Corey Good. And, you know, I don't want to say anything about Corey, but, you know, he's kind of had some issues. People have asked me, you know, about my part in that documentary. And I said, I'll tell you, every word that I said in that documentary was sincere and from the heart. And, you know, talking about my story. And then towards the end where I talk about higher consciousness and how it could change everything on this planet, literally everything. The hard part about trying to get people to understand about consciousness, it's like trying to get fish to understand that they're swimming in water and they're taking it through their gills all the time. And for human beings, that means the gill, what's coming through our gills is tons and tons and tons of indoctrination. From the moment we're born all the way up, we get it everywhere: school, church, the news media, television, everything. We're constantly being indoctrinated, and they don't want us empowered as a unified whole, because if that happens, they know it's game over. So that's the thing that's really the powerful message. But again, it's really hard to get people to understand just how insidious indoctrination is. You know, I like to say when I went through school, I daydreamed my way through school, and I missed a lot of the indoctrination, or a good portion of it. I didn't escape without any, but right. Missed a lot. That's a good thing. So yeah. Anyway, I went through these experiences, and they ended up being kind of like a shamanic awakening. One day, I just had that thought that by staying silent, I was allowing this abuse to go on for other people indirectly. And once I had that thought, there was no going back. I went public, and then I wrote the book, and I've tried to help people understand that they're not crazy, that this kind of stuff really does happen. And going public isn't for everybody, but if it is your path, you know, I think you find a lot of support. I find a lot of support in the community, as long as you're genuine and authentic and not trying to scam anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. And,
yeah,
you know, you definitely on your path. There's no question about that. So yeah, we're very excited to have you join us, and we're going to go ahead and stick with the ladies first. Sorry, Tony. And we're going to move to Jackie. And, you know, Jackie has an incredible story as well. She's been on the show a couple times. And like I said, she spoke at our first conference. And honestly, you have one of the most credible testimonies I've heard. And it's funny that not that many people, I don't know if, you know, you're not one of the big names in the SSP community, but that's probably a good thing. You know, you're kind of like a sleeper, but you have some of the most real information. And I'm so excited to have you back and hear what you're going to hear what you have for us this year. So
thank you. I'm happy to be back. The last time I was on stage, I was like 7 months pregnant, and now I've got my little 18-month-old baby. It's also funny, you're the third person to call me a sleeper this week. Like, am I a sleeper? Yeah, actually, Tony and I talk about that often, how I'm have these facts and locations and names and people and experiences, and I never get interviewed. I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't meant to be, I think. I'm not meant to be. I'm meant to do other things and focus on other things. That's how I take it. So, I focus a lot of my time in my Medium sessions, and this year I've decided it's funny listening to these two ladies before me. It's been my mission this year to empower at the level of the individual, because I realize I can offer medium sessions for people and connect them with their higher selves and their relatives around them, but I'm not teaching them to fish. And I've had this like massive change in myself this year that I didn't see coming, where I realized like I need to help people who are like me grow what they're doing. And I've even been comfortable saying I want like wealth and influence in the hands of spiritually focused people. And so for me, it's been like a massive shift this year. So helping you all get your website up and get some things streamlined was like, yep, this is what I'm feeling called to do this year. And it's where I'm putting a lot of my focus. Did you ask me a question, or did I just start talking?
I don't know if I really asked you a question,
Okay.
but
Did
what
I
are
answer it? Yeah.
well, I guess what are you going to be talking about this year? I know you and Tony, I don't know, I have you guys originally
You have us
scheduled.
together. So I'm going to try to get a word in edgewise. That's my main goal. I actually we'll probably spend some time, and Tony can maybe confirm or argue with this, talking about the last book that came out and everything that's happened since. And I know Tony and I are both working on other books, and someone else in this group as well.
Yep.
And
Is that me?
I actually want to have a little bit of sharing like the things that have made me more in tune with my higher self. I want to use some of that time to offer not like a training or, but I actually want to really transfer this information and these things that have worked for myself or for Tony or people that we've worked with to like align us with our, like that ignition of the internal truth of who you are. Because I think like we've been talking about, there's so much programming that people don't even realize that they're thinking inside of these small boxes. And so if I want to empower the individual, I want to actually use some of the time, if Tony will allow me, to share, these things that we're doing that are helping ourselves to maybe help other people there. I haven't picked it apart further than that. I just know that I'm feeling really pushed by the spirit world to do this.
Yeah, and so you guys have the whole evening to do whatever you want. There's no time limit. After dinner, you guys take the stage in the evening with Jackie and Tony. So you can split that up and you guys can each do your own presentations. You could do something together. We're going to leave that open. The original thought was because you guys co-wrote the last book together, you guys could co-speak about it. But obviously, we evolve and we have things to talk about and you have things you want to share. So however that looks, we'll let you guys have the whole evening and just have fun with it. So
yeah, I think we will have some fun together. I tease Tony because he does like to talk. But we'll do something collaborative. It'll be fun, and then use some of the time to really empower everyone there, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you muted, Tony? Your mute is on. Okay.
So Tony, it's your turn. You're up. I know you, we went on that trip together to Inyo Kern, and if you guys haven't seen that video that we did, I recommend it. It's somewhere in our library on Rumble, but hang on a sec. Are we frozen?
Are we?
No, we're not. Okay.
No, we're not.
It just looked like it on my end. Sorry. Anyway, so we went to Inyo Kern, and it was actually, for me personally, seeing Tony's emotional reaction to remember being at a place that he was taken during the 20 and back. And, you can't fake an emotional reaction like that. I'm not that we were ever claiming Tony was faking anything, but whenever you're there and you witness it and you're with somebody and you're feeling the energy, it was very surreal. And it was emotional for me too. And it was a pretty wild experience. So since then, I know, Tony, you've uncovered a lot and stuff's just been coming to the surface and things you probably weren't expecting. So, what does that look like for you since then? And what are you going to be presenting at the conference?
Well, yeah, I think me and you should talk about it for a minute on stage and kind of go over it. You've got actually a wealth of the pictures and the video that you were filming the whole time that we were there. And it was huge. You Thanks for coming, Tyler. Inyo Kern in Peru, I'm still trying to get into Peru to do the same thing, but it's a very dangerous area. But Inyo Kern was one of the few places that I had in my back pocket that had evidence. And we went there and, there were things I called out that we didn't discover until we got there. And how could I have done that? Like, it's just, there's a lot of things that panned out in Inyo Kern, for one. And for two, I remembered a lot more, like going there and smelling it and feeling, hearing the planes fly over every day. It's like, I got a bunch more memories that came back. And I really unpacked a lot of things that we were working on, the technologies we were working on. There's a lot to discuss about it, but I would love to touch on that. My feeling is to just let Jackie talk in our presentation, let her go first, and then I just kind of mop up at the end. That's my whole plan, and
Nice.
freestyle that, because everything that I've been working on. So I got my memories back, and I've been on your show a few times and told my story. And Jackie, thank God, probably aliens put us together to work together, because the most accurate description is that I'm more like a floodlight and she's more like a laser beam, and we work well together. So, like, I've got short-term vision and she's got focus. And so we worked really well together on Talks with Tony and in the books. So thank God that happened. But it's progressed now. It's been so long. There's so many things that, because of my memories, have pushed me in another direction, and because of what's happened, and it's developed, and there's a lot of things that are still panning out that there is to talk. This is there's a lot of things to discuss that I want to share with people this year, and so some of them that I'm not even finished with yet. So I'm just gonna let Jackie present and talk about. Honestly, Jackie, I think we should talk about how we met each other and started working together in this field, because Jackie, the same thing she did for you with the website, she did for me. She was called and she helped me out, and people were messaging me on Facebook and saying, "Hey, will you come on my show?" And I said, okay. And then I went back to work. I was a dad. I had 3 kids, and I was buried in work, and I wasn't trying to make a website or a book or any kind of show. I wasn't trying to, you know what I mean? I was basically unconcerned with it. And so she said, no, you got to do this. Is this important or not? And I said, yeah, it's very important. Of course. She said, well, you need to put yourself out there. You need to, you need to do this. And so for her, because of her, I am doing way more than I ever thought I would. So Jackie was a blessing to me. And I think we should tell the story of where you were on the big island of Hawaii and had basically a visitation, and I was on Maui and had a visitation, and we found out it was the same day, and it was only a few months later that we met each other. You saw me on Gaia. You saw me on Cosmic Disclosure, and then got a hold and you went, she did a holy shit moment, and then got a hold, whatever, watched my information for a while, and then we finally did a podcast together, and it was something weird. Like, we were like, don't I know you? And we worked together we still are working together today. She was helping me with my website today too. So
right.
That's amazing.
A lot of you don't know say it. I'll brag for you, Jackie. You never do, but what did you get? Your master's degree by the age of 21?
Yes, I did.
Is that what I'm saying? Is that master's in communication by 21? So
that's crazy.
Laser beam. That's what I mean. So
hyper focused.
Extraordinary person.
And I also didn't like school, so I just wanted to get through it. I had a lot of pressure from my family because I was so smart, and I was like, fine, let me just get it over with. I want to say something about books, though, and why I think they're so important. And I love that I believe everyone here at some point will have a book, and I know most of us already do. They are not censored yet. It's a one way to get your story down permanently and into the world that is not yet censored. And I say yet because I think that it will happen, but as of right now, it's one form of permanent communication that cannot be taken away from the world right now. And I think they're so important. So
they can't burn all the books.
An advocate.
They can't burn all the books like they used to a long time ago. They used to be able to a lot easier a long time ago.
Right. And they can't
Some.
Right.
remove you from the digital world. I
Right.
mean,
They can take you
yeah,
off Amazon, but you
they
can go
might,
around
yeah.
Amazon, you know.
Well,
But
That's
there's
all they can
still,
do.
yeah,
and if you don't want them to burn your book, just paint it blue.
exactly.
Because they will burn it with a
Exactly.
Right,
DEW.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I gotta say, Kindle first came out. I wrote a comment about it. I said, it's really a wonderful thing. Now people can read digital books, et cetera, et cetera. I said, but it's also, in the future, it could be a really dangerous thing because it could burn books without flames.
Right.
Those content could be manipulated and changed and things omitted. And it would be a great way to burn books without flames. So we have to be
Right.
aware of what could happen in the publishing arena with Amazon and our books and the Kindle version. And hopefully not the print version, you know. But right
Yeah.
now, you're right. Right now, they're not censoring. So it's a good idea to get things out. And I think things are turning around in the world. You know, Trump gives me a lot of hope, if I can say that. But
No.
what really gives me hope is all the people waking up. That's the
Yeah.
thing that really gives me hope. Because
Yeah.
people are waking up, and this is not a population I see knuckling under to the New World Order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I agree with you. I
Right.
think there's no stopping us, you know. You know, it's just like a giant tsunami, and that, you know, the 100th monkey effect has happened, and I think the number is in the millions right now of people who are waking up and seeing through the bullshit. And you know, I think this year
Mhm.
actually, a lot of people are saying it's the year of the dragon, the year of disclosure. Like, there's a lot of stuff on the plate this year, and I kind of wanted to talk about some of that, and maybe I'll put the spotlight back on Sherry just because I know she's bringing in information in her sessions all the time. And what do you see? What do you see? Like, is there any sort of future outlook about 2024 and like what we're expecting this year?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many incredible things going on, and I've done a few interviews recently, and I've been asked the same question. You know, what's new, what's happening right now, what's on the horizon, and is there evidence of change? Now, most of the people watching this, including us on this panel, know that there has been a lot of change, but what is evident to the public is a whole other aspect. But I can just take just my clientele of a few. I mean, a few thousand people, which in a grand scheme of millions of people is not that many people, but I do have a good grasp on many people all over the world, different ages and a lot of children, but many different aspects and backgrounds all over the world. If you take just that number in the last 10 years, when I first started working with people and opened myself up to not working with animals and working with people exclusively, there was a lot of people that were still asleep, not really open to what I did. And over the years, the awakening started to happen in a rate that was much faster than before. And then around the pandemic period, more and more people were coming to me. Literally, I just woke up. A couple weeks ago, I woke up, I came across your name. Can you help me? And with regard to children and parenting and where we're going with the indoctrination, because what Niara said is so important. And it's really what drives me every day. What I focus my attention on is the children, where we are going, where we have been, and the indoctrination camps that we call schools and the loosh farms is a big part of our past, but not where we're going. And I would say 10 to 15% of my clients that are parents, even 3 years ago, had homeschooled children. And fast forward 3 to 5 years later, I'm at 75, 80% of my clients are now on homeschool their children. So there's a huge number of parents that want something better, are looking for alternatives, are pulling their children out of the public school indoctrination system and saying, I don't want this for my child anymore. I think that they deserve more, and the children are asking for it. And they are so much more psychic, so much more aware, so different than previous generations. They're actually not responding to the indoctrination. They're not responding to the 3D interference, like I talked about on stage last year with the Voice of God technology, all of the EMFs and all of the negative affirmations being played in the atmosphere, the noise that they actually can hear that we cannot. And some children can actually hear the words being spoke. I'm not good enough. I will never amount to anything. My parents don't love me. I will never be good enough. They hear it and they tell me about it. And so they come in and they're actually distorting and disrupting the frequencies that are being emitted by satellite, underground, above ground, outside of the planet, all over the place through 5G towers, everywhere they're being emitted. The children are actually disruptors. So they're disrupting and breaking down those frequencies, and it's not working on them anymore. And so they are not responding to traditional medicine. They're not responding to these things anymore. The labels are breaking down, and the parents are saying, I don't buy into this anymore. I don't want to medicate my child. And then they talk to someone and they hear me do a lecture on the truth about Asperger's, autism, the spectrum, dyslexia, ADHD, and all of the labels. And I explain what's actually going on. And they say, oh my God, thank you. Someone actually understands my child. And they're not buying into it anymore. So there's a huge breakdown of the system happening right now. And it's been happening very much in the last couple of years. So what I've been told is 2023 was a reflection and a breakdown period and an awakening, and that's continuing into 2024, but in a much more profound way that's actually visible now to those that aren't looking for it. So we're looking for it, we see it, but the people who are hiding it, are not wanting to see it, not open to it, it's in their face now, and they have to, it's presenting itself to them, and they have to make a choice. And that's where we are this year, of people having abrupt epiphanies and awakenings in 2024, and they have to make a choice. What direction do they want to go? What do they believe in now? And who are they going to follow? And if not, maybe go within. And actually, you know, I do a lot of, I love what Jackie said. I try to empower all of my clients that they don't need me. They can activate this wisdom and sovereignty within themselves that they never lost. They just didn't know they had it. And how do we do that? And I don't want to monopolize the time, but that's kind of a lot of what I'm seeing right now. And we're seeing the change. People are participating in it. It's evident. It's apparent to people who have just opened their eyes. They can see it. I mean, it's just right there.
Now you guys see what I mean when I say she's a force to be reckoned with.
Yes.
That's what happened the first time I saw you present. I was just like, I really didn't know much about you. And I mean, you're just on target, over the target all the time. You're on point and on fire. So thank you for that. And I agree. I agree. I think it's like everyone's going to be faced with making a choice. And ultimately, like you're unconsciously making a choice sometimes by the things that you participate in. So that's why it's important to be aware. So you can know, like, if I decide to do this or this, I'm complicit in their agenda, you know, and that self-awareness helps you navigate that and steer away from that. So I agree. Does anybody want to add to, you know, what they kind of see happening this year and you know, expand on what Sherry said?
I would just second that. In it, for me, it's materialized in, I used to have all these training courses on how to be more psychic, how to enhance your abilities, how to connect to your higher self. And what I found is, you know, I took a long maternity, 18 months to 2 years roughly. When I came back, the people that I was engaging with as clients, they already knew everything in those courses. It's like, I felt like in those 2 years, like the entire, I don't know if it can't possibly be the entire population, but it was like the people that are awake are really awake. And it was amazing, because for me, it like, I got to then bump up my level, because I was like not meeting people at 5 anymore. They were coming to me at level 60. And I really, really love it. And on top of that, I like what Sherry was saying, because I will 100% homeschool. Like, and it is very common amongst my friend set now that people are not planning on putting their children in school, because they realize that you're actually destroying their ability to think for themselves, to really contemplate and think about things. And that alone is holding back.
Right. They teach you,
Right.
they don't teach you how to think. They teach you what to think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's people are realizing and waking up to how toxic the public school system is and how damaging it is, like you just said, to children. And this is, we're talking at the earliest formative years of their life, that can permanently, you know, damage, to put it simply, damage that child for the rest of their life and keep them at this very low level of
It's very
consciousness and very
restrictive.
programs.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a very
Right.
restrictive training. My husband and I have a terrible joke I'll share with you, but when we do road trips, you look out on the horizon, we have this game, high school or prison, because from a distance, you can't tell which is which, because they look the same. It's like buildings with no windows.
That's on purpose.
I know.
Intentional.
I know,
Yeah.
but once you wake up to it, you're like, it's so in my
obvious.
face. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
down to the transportation, everything.
Everything. Yeah.
Mhm.
I noticed that in Las Vegas, Nevada, before I moved away, all the new high schools and junior high schools they were building looked like prisons.
Mhm.
It was
Yeah.
horrible.
They're all
yeah.
they're interchangeable. Tony, I know you have some thoughts on the future of education. Would you like to add to any of this?
So yeah, so I'm I've been working on for some time now what I remembered going through in the space program. So the form of school that I remember, and we began working on preschool prep. I thought it was the easiest one, the lower hanging fruit. And sorry, I'm getting something here. I thought the preschool stuff was the lower hanging fruit, but it turns out that kids don't really learn verbatim at that age. You're seeing what their reaction is. You're seeing what they're, what they're inspired by what the information. In other words, you don't teach them a picture and then get an answer from it. You teach them a picture and understand where their imagination went. So there's a whole form of psychology, those formative years that my technique doesn't really help. So and at the same time, I've sold some corporate training. We're building videos for corporations to train new employees. But I've done a lot of research into the existing school system because we want to duplicate it and form a homeschool version from home that's going to be faster than currently what it is, just watching a video and then spitting out whatever, the test at the end of it. And we did a lot of research into it. There's a long way to go. It's still the biggest market and where we're going to return to because I'm building things. I'm continuing to build things, and then there are even more techniques that help on top of the software and the way that we present the information. On top of that, there are other techniques to learn even faster. But it's more geared towards the older crowd, kids that are older. Where a lot of that stuff's going to work. So we are going that way because the market is so big, but it's kind of down the road. The school system stuff is on the back burner right now, just until I get the manpower in place, basically. But the research I did into school system was scary because all of the curriculum and the benchmarks basically not the curriculum, but the benchmarks. The kid's in 8th grade, he's got to hit this mark. He's got to know this. Okay. So then he's in 10th grade, he's got to SATs or whatever, he's got to hit this. Then they got to do this to graduate. They got to hit these marks, and then now they're graduated. The people that determine that is the United States Department of Defense, and it's global. Right. It's all the free world. It's the U.S. Department of Defense determines who's going to graduate in Australia and in the UK. It's the SCORM system. So what is the United States Department of Defense got to do with your education? Nothing, right? So that's really the current system that most people are unaware of. But when you really start to unravel and dig I want to build my own school curriculum for kids to graduate out of my system. So who do I go to for that? And at the end of the trail was the Pentagon. So that was super scary. And things like what Sherry's doing and the homeschooling, it's the way it's going to be. The other thing I want to touch on is, like you're saying, the psychic development of people across the board. We're seeing people, grown adults, and myself included, their entire life change because they no longer vibrate. I don't even like the word vibrate, but they no longer fit in the in the mindset of their current life that they were in. Everybody's kind of waking up and going, wait a minute, I don't have to do this anymore. This isn't me. This is not helping anybody. And they're changing their life. We're seeing it in adults, but the kids are going through the same kind of changes. And then it's right when the time we see the Klaus Schwab thing, where he wants to put chips in everybody. 10 years from now, everybody has a chip in their head, and we've heard this all along. I know you guys have had shows about this, where mankind has a choice to go into the mental, spiritual development route or the technological route where there's like a hive mind. And so that's kind of what we're seeing. We're seeing the seeds of that sprout right now these days with the AI and with these chips. Once they get a chip in your head, I mean, what are you going to do with that? How do you shut that off? You can't.
Dig it out with a knife.
Right. Well, I'm just saying you can't shut it off. It'll
Right.
always be on there, always watching, always having, and you think the voice of God in school, which is terrifying. When you think of that happening to kids and the effect it can have. The other thing about chips in your head is that I would feel a lot better with that if we could trust our leadership. And
Yeah.
it doesn't take you very long to find them being completely immature and untrustworthy. So it's a hard no for me.
Mhm.
Can I add something to that real quick, Tony?
Please.
Is that okay? Do you guys know why they started the labeling program? It's a government program, and the reason that they do that, I call them the dark players. That's how I refer to them in my book, just to simplify many different names. But they know that the spiritual gifts that these children have, whether they're on the spectrum of Asperger's, which we don't use that term anymore, but they're highly intelligent, or they are on the spectrum of psychic abilities, they label these children and they want a catalog. So they want parents to bring their children to the doctor to get diagnosed so that their kid is on a list somewhere, and the government has a list of all the children and their abilities so that they can use that and they can track these children. So they have a list of all the highly intelligent, high IQ, Asperger labeled children. They know where they all are. They have a list of them, and it's in the medical file. They know where all the autistic children are that land on the opposite end of the spectrum, that are very psychic, very right brain, so they can utilize. So they know where they are, so that if they need to use them for that, it's a tracking system. People don't realize that. I would never let my child, I don't even take them to the doctor, but I would never let them be diagnosed officially for anything, because they don't realize what they're actually being diagnosed for. The reason behind it is a government program.
Right.
Right.
Niara, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Years ago, when I was trying to understand what happened to me, I read Kathy O'Brien and Mark Phillips' book, Transformation of America. And he said in there, Mark Phillips wrote that standardized testing in schools, where you sit down in the big room like the cafeteria or something, and you're on a timer and you fill in the little bubbles on the sheet with a number 2 pencil to try to get the correct answers. Okay. He said that they use those standardized test scores to try to identify people that would be good at work in the CIA, that would be good at work with other things and everything else like that. And I was very good in almost every subject, kind of effortlessly, except for mathematics. Mathematics got scrambled in my head. So I was sitting there doing the test and filling in the little bubbles, and I thought, there's no way that I can do any of this, especially in the time allotted. So being an artist, I filled in the bubbles on the paper in the prettiest pattern that I could imagine.
Hey.
And they probably looked at the results of that and thought, whoa, we'll never get anything out of her. And then, of course, later in life, I write this book that's so well researched and such an intelligently written book. They just didn't see that coming. They just didn't see that coming out of me. I'm sure they didn't.
Right.
Too bad for you.
Bad.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so true though. You mentioned earlier how you kind of like daydream your way through school. And I think it was Heidi Pop, if you guys know who she is. She said that she used to do the same thing. And she said, I realized that, these children, we're antennas, right? We're all antennas. And whenever the information is coming in that doesn't align with you, you shut down. Like it's like you just shut down. So it's not like you're intentionally doing it. Part of your subconscious understands that it's bullshit and you don't need to know it. So it's blocking it. And that's why you're daydreaming. And I always knew it was bullshit in high school and everything. I especially math. Like I'm not saying like everything like is bullshit, but I would never have my math homework, and I just didn't see the purpose of the whole schooling system back then. And
Your soul knows.
Yeah,
your soul knows. And the more connected you are to that, the more you're just gonna know intuitively, because that's what that is.
But my teacher would tell me. My teacher would tell me, she's like, Tyler, this is the 3rd time this month you don't have your math homework. And I said, yeah. And when I'm 50 years old, sitting on my couch watching TV, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to regret this moment at all. Like, I don't care. That's how I would talk to her. And she would look at me like, what the hell? But I've always had that rebel gene, I guess. But I think, like Sherry said, I think more and more kids are going to have that mentality. They just don't care. They don't want to learn, and they're not going to. So we have to find new ways. And thank God Sherry's creating a school for, an outdoor, whatever you're doing is amazing. It's something we've never seen before. And I know it'll be ready when the time is right. But
well, when I was a senior in high school, I got called to the principal's office. And they said, if we hold you back another year in school, are you going to do any better? And I said, no, I said, I can't deal with this place and I need you just let me out. So they let me graduate that year. But that's kind of the story of my whole school life. I just was a rebel. I was a system buster in the system of the school. And you know, the best thing that I ever did, the most learning I ever got was out in the woods all by myself. Those are the best learning that I got. And unfortunately, I didn't get much from my parents because they were alcoholic and severely codependent and enmeshed. I pretty much raised myself out there in those woods with a lot of spiritual direction.
That
And
is the school, though. Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, I count myself very lucky that I had that kind of childhood.
Clifford Mahooty, if you guys know who he is, Native Zuni elder, who was part of the Cahokia Mountains documentary, he said that when he was a kid, like as a Native American, their school was nature, and their parents would tell them to go talk to that rabbit, and they didn't understand it. Why? And they would keep sending them out to go talk to the rabbit until they knew how to communicate with the rabbit.
Telepathically.
Yeah. And they would actually develop relationships with the wildlife. But they didn't understand. But that's what the lesson was. They had to go communicate with the rabbit. That was their like daily lesson. And it ended up being profound, and they learned so much. And so just the ways of life have been forgotten. We're so far removed from what it means to be in harmony with the planet. But anyway, I
Well,
want to go ahead. Aaron.
real quick, I just want to say on that topic, nature is on this planet is the most untouched, you could say, because it's not a part of the programming, right? It's still it vibrates very close to source. It's very pure. So when you connect with nature, you're connecting. It's kind of like a bridge to connect with source very easily and your soul, And why do you think they want to keep us away from that? Keep us in a building all day and keep us at a job that, they want to keep you in a city and a job like away from nature, disconnected completely, because the more you connect with nature, the more you're going to connect with that, right?
Right.
Yeah,
That's
and the
why-
sun is really dangerous, so you have to be careful out there.
The sun as well, right? The sun as well.
Can't be in the
Right.
sun.
Sun's
Yeah.
dangerous. Stay out of the. Yeah, that's what
Seriously,
they
how
keep
much
telling
fear?
us, right?
Yeah.
Right. Be
All of
afraid of
it.
the sun.
Even like sunglasses, I won't geek out on this too much, but we actually need to perceive light to prep our skin to receive the sun. And it's like, this has been going on for 100 years. So
Yeah.
Right.
there's a lot to keep us from nature, and you have to question why. So I love this conversation.
Well, let's geek out about the sun, because we have the eclipse coming up, and they're surrounding it with tons of fear. I mean, the
Yeah.
stuff that they're putting out on the mainstream media about what to expect, and have food prepped and make sure that you have a plan, like whatever. Like it's just like, what kind of
You're
eclipse?
like,
is
what kind of
this
eclipse
supposed
are
to be?
they
Yeah.
expecting here?
Buy necessary groceries and gas.
Right.
Right.
Eclipse. Make sure you got gasoline and groceries because the eclipse could be.
Are they planning
you
the
off.
Make
Are
all
they
the power
planning
go
the
out.
fake invasion while everybody's looking up?
Right.
Bad idea. Bad idea.
Right.
So, but they always demonize the sun. You're right, and I wonder,
reason.
like, does anybody have any thoughts about this eclipse and what it means, what the
Yes.
significance of it is?
Go look at the sun. Do not put on your glasses and go look at the eclipse. I do it
So-
every time. I do it
so-
every time, and it changes you. I know somebody's going to tell you it's dangerous. It's going to burn your eyes. It's not going to burn your eyes. It's going to reset something in your brain and your crystalline structure. Go look at the sun.
Well, that
Who-
explains why they always tell us that.
I
Yeah.
know.
They don't want you doing that because of that reason. They're no,
Right.
it's dangerous.
This reminds me of something. Who remembers in the 2017 eclipse when Trump looked at the sun, looked at the eclipse without his little glasses on, and the media tore him apart. They're saying,
I
"Well,
remember
what an
that.
idiot," blah blah.
Uh-huh.
But he did on
He
TV,
knows.
and I know that was intentional.
Mhm.
And I think you're right. Like, I think maybe looking at it directly might be like amazing for us, but they want you to cover your eyes with those glasses. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe it'll blind you. So don't listen to me. But
Listen to me. Take your hands like this and make little slits through your fingers and put it between you and the sun and look at the sun. It is not going to blind you. I would be blind. I've looked at 3 direct eclipses in my life, and every single time it changes me. It fundamentally changes me. I'm serious.
All right.
But if anyone is worried, this is not medical advice, but I would say look at the sun. So far, I can still see. In fact, my vision is improving naturally because I'm working on it by allowing the full light spectrum through my eyes. Did you know it's illegal to sell glasses that allow the full light spectrum through the lenses?
Really?
Did you
Wow.
know that your contacts block part of the light spectrum?
Oh yeah, they have a
10%.
they have a UV tint, and I've gotten so accustomed to it, I kind of love it. And then when I take them off and wear my glasses, I'm like, oh my God, what is this?
So
Well-
you're fatiguing, sorry, Sherry,
Okay.
you're fatiguing muscles and then internal endocrine responses that you need. And I think it has to do with, this is from now my off-planet experiences watching testing, because what they didn't realize is the UV actually had something to do with longer life. They were looking for the fountain of youth. I know I'm getting into a long story. I can't get into it, but I'm telling you, the sun will elongate our lives. It
Yeah.
will let us live longer, and we are intentionally being kept from it and intentionally not allowing the full spectrum into our bodies because of the way that it heals and restores us. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Sherry.
No, I'm just geeking out because I had this is in my new book and I'm going to talk about it in my presentation. And there's actually a collective called the Sun Rays. And it's a group of children that I'm going to, I've never talked about publicly yet, that I have been learning a lot from. And there is so much information that they have blocked from us. The healing ability of the sun, the consciousness of the sun itself. And, you know, for me, I was so accustomed to wearing sunglasses throughout my life because I was programmed to believe that we needed them, that as an adult now, I can't wear, I have to train my eyes now to be able to look and to be in the sun because they start to water and it actually gives me a headache. So I've been training myself for the past 3 years to take them off and slowly acclimate to the sun. But I'm a huge believer in the healing ability of the sun. And I moved to Florida a year and a half ago. And it was sunny every day, absolute paradise. And in the last 6 months, there have been more chemtrails than I have ever seen in Maryland here now, which Maryland was a huge a conglomerate of, like, you couldn't even see the sky. And now they've come here and we've had 2 months of no sun. It's completely cloudy all the time. Nothing, no sun. And people are getting sick. They have their memories. They're not remembering things, missing time. So many things. So they're blocking the sun for a reason. This is a huge part of the lies that we have been told. And this is a great conversation.
Yeah, and they're predicting historical cloud coverage during the eclipse, which is
Of course.
like how do they even
'Cause they
know,
would know.
first of all, unless they're gonna spray and block it out. But
They're
I
gonna
think
make
we
it,
should
right.
meditate on it. Everybody just individually meditate on like a clear day, you know, and just dissipate those clouds. But what's interesting about sunblock too, I watched a video a long time ago. They said that, you know, the skin, they think that if you don't put on sunblock, you're going to get skin cancer from the sun. But the cancer actually comes from the toxins within your body, and we're not properly detoxing. And what happens whenever you put on sunblock, the sun actually is a natural way to detox. It brings the toxins to the surface. But when you put on sunblock, you're trapping the toxins and they can't escape. And then the sunblock is actually what creates the spots, is what this doctor was saying. So you're actually giving yourself, like, you're actually aiding in the development of cancer by wearing sunblock. And
There's
the
also
sun is supposed to,
Stuff in the sunblock that's toxic as well.
yeah, and the
Exactly.
chemicals in the sunblock, right?
Exactly.
So if you ever get a really bad sunburn, get chlorophyll drops and put them in your water and drink it, and it will process your sunburn. Chlorophyll is one of nature's most potent detoxifiers. Like, this is legit. If you get a sunburn, take chlorophyll and it will process your sunburn faster than anything else you can do. Then there has to be something behind that. It's like what you're saying. I think
Right.
it's a combination of toxins and lack of the nutrition that we need in our body combined.
That too.
Yeah.
That too.
Super interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I've been a for my whole life. I guess I was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
If I used anything on my skin, it was usually coconut oil.
Yeah. Coconut oil is amazing. I love
Yeah,
coconut.
people
Well,
do
many-
use coconut oil in the sun. That's
Yeah.
a real thing.
You know, and our ancestors didn't used to lay out, and the way that they program us to be in the sun is intoxicating too, because there is a level in which it's too much and people do burn because they encourage people to lay out and be in the sun all day and get tan. And then you need the sunblock. People think they need the sunblock. So like our ancestors knew when to go into the shade. Animals know. They'll sit out and they'll get their sun, and they know innately when I have a hairless cat, has no fur, he burns. But he knows instinctively when he's on my patio out in the back, he lays in the sun. And then when he knows he's had enough, he gets up and he goes into the shade. So they know when their bodies get the level that they need. And then they know innately when to stop and when to move out of the sun. But we're not taught that. And so it's, again, that's a whole nother level of their programming and manipulation tactics on humanity.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I
And
have a more.
all
Go ahead.
cultures that are in heavily sunned areas, I just made that up expression, but they cover themselves because the layer of clothing keeps you cool. So like, I mean, if I lived in Jerusalem for 9 months, a lot of people don't know that, but there would be like the Bedouin out in the desert and they're covered head to toe. They're not out in the sun like all of the tourists or locals who are at the beach. So it's kind of this very unusual behavior with the sun, just to further what Sherry said.
Yeah.
People that are out in a lot of sun often cover themselves unless they have more, what's it called? Melanin, like darker skin
Right.
tones.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They cover
Right.
themselves. And even some people in those cultures do for the insulation and that barrier where your sweat gets trapped and cools you off.
Mhm.
So our relationships with sun is whack. It's all
Right.
out of whack for sure.
Well, we're never taught. How are you supposed to know? You know, how, like, this conversation here, like, this is something, Sherry, you should teach. It should be a class in your school. But Tony, what are your thoughts? Come on. Do you lay out and tan?
I've
What do
been
you
waiting.
do?
You guys have been
Yeah.
kicking butt, so I'm like, well, I just want to touch on the science of it because our trip to Inyokern led me down a kind of a rabbit hole. So I remembered they were using laser therapy while we were doing out of body experiments on us kids in Inyokern. So Project Grill Flame, I found the gap in the funding of it, and there was a Joint Senate Arms Committee around that project, and I remembered when we were there, when I went home, I remember some of the technology, and I started researching how to build it myself because I have a remote viewing group and I want to push the envelope of remote group viewing technology from what I remembered from a classified program that had access to space assets. And it seems they use lasers quite a bit. So a lot of CIA people that are called themselves Jedis are laser physicists. And it turns out that in the near infrared spectrum, 1250 to 1500 nanometers, oxygenates your brain cells and activates your psychic ability better. But you know what else does that is your sunlight. And when you block it, the only way, so 1250 nanometers to 1500 nanometers of near infrared will not penetrate your skull. Basically, it'll get a 3/4 of an inch in there, and it'll oxygenate those brain cells that are around the inside of your skull. But it does penetrate through your eye sockets, and right behind there is your pineal gland. So the physiology of it and what you're saying, the science is absolutely established. Cold laser therapy is a real thing. You can go buy them right now. It's near infrared, but they stop at 950 nanometers. So they don't want to give you the real deep penetration near infrared wavelengths. And the reason being is they oxygenate your brain. It'll oxygenate all of your brain cells. You have higher brain function. So when you're wearing your UV contact lenses and your regular glasses and your sunglasses, you are reducing that effect 100%. So sunlight does this naturally. If you go out, there's no coincidence that the hippie movement wanted to stay outside with the flowers in the sun and get all that and connect to nature. So you are literally oxygenating your brain cells individually.
Yeah.
Looking at the sun.
So
that's my 2 cents.
A friend of mine
Exactly.
made a great point. She noticed that, like, she was going to the doctor. This was a couple of years ago, and she started asking her friends too. And the doctors were like promoting vitamin D. They're like, you need to start taking vitamin D, vitamin D, vitamin D. And then she saw the stuff with like Bill Gates blocking out the sun and the chemtrails. And she's like, holy shit, they're trying to replace the sun with a pill. Like they're trying, the doctors, they don't promote and push vitamins typically, right? But they were all pushing vitamin D. And she was like, there's an agenda behind this. And that was kind of her conclusion. She's like, they're trying to replace the sun with a pill. And that's why vitamin D is so heavily pushed, but they don't even tell you how to properly take vitamin D anyway to like really receive the effects of it. But
There's no replacing the natural
no,
stuff, the artificial. There's no, it's not the same.
no.
So in the space programs, the sunlight being absent in the colonies was a major problem. An absolute major problem. So much so that it was a huge luxury for flight crew, and they were hated by everybody because they got exposed to sunlight when they visited other planets and came back to Earth. So we got picked on for being on a ship that got exposed. I got to stand and see the sunlight sometimes. There were people that spent their entire time up there and never had direct sunlight. They had all of the artificial stuff with the UV that, you know, they had the fake lights that were doing it, but people were still in a stupor from it and very pale. And they were very upset about it. So there was a huge stigma to be somebody that could get exposed to sunlight even for a few minutes versus those that were stuck in the colony for a long time. And it was like a like a prejudice that was real. Like, you know, I don't want to hear from you. You were in the sunlight earlier. And so I heard that too. So that was a stigma, and that's a real thing. That's a very real effect. The fake lights can't fix it. All the tech of all the fake lights can't fix the psychological problems of not being near the sun. You know, you're always, and the more you're without it, the more you crave it. So if you stay underground, the worst punishment we have other than death is to put somebody in the hole with no sunlight.
And
Right.
so this brings me to this reminds me of what I hear with the flat earth theory, that we have this the sun is like a fixture, like a light bulb, essentially. And it's like this whole artificial thing. And so, I mean, that whole theory skews your connection with source, because it forces you to believe in an entirely different set of rules that, you know, give your power away. But it's interesting that, like, if they get all these people to believe that, like we interviewed somebody who literally said, like, the sun has light, it's a big fixture and it has light bulbs, and she saw one of the bulbs burnt out one time. And I'm like, okay, but did you really? Like, if people believe that it's just a light fixture, like, they're not going to understand that there's benefits to receive from it. And it's just manipulating and manipulating people away from that intuitive knowing that the sun is helping them.
I started reading a book by a guy named Meir Schneider, and he teaches people how to reclaim their natural vision, because I'm really sick and tired of glasses and contact lenses. Okay, so part of his program, and he's an older guy, he was actually born clinically blind, and he solved his own vision problems and got to the point where he could even get a driver's license without any corrective lenses. That's how far he went with his healing his eyes. So I'm reading his book, and one of the things that he says in there about healing your vision is to look at the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that very interesting in the context of this whole conversation. It's just kind of a little added thing there that, you know, looking at the sun is a good thing all the way around.
Yeah, sun gazing.
Well, why do you think that children are in school 6 hours a day with minimal outside time, no sun, and fluorescent lighting on top of that, which distorts and disrupts their energy in their auric field and suppresses, and so they don't get to see any sun anymore. And a lot of the schools in Florida, they don't go outside. Middle school, high school, they don't go outside at all. They don't have recess, so there's no need to go outside. So they're inside all day with air conditioning and fluorescent lighting, no sun.
That's horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
And the fluorescent lighting, I've seen a video, somebody did a study. They monitored the children in the room with the fluorescent lighting, and then they monitored them without it, I guess a different type of lighting. And like the kids, it just naturally agitates you. It creates like a chaotic frequency that agitates you. And like the kids become disrupted then.
Yeah,
I think so I can see the flicker in LED lights.
Yeah.
And I think children still perceive those things because they're not like so accustomed to it and perceived out of it. So it's almost like, even if it's not at the level of awareness, they're still perceiving this flickering that's happening in these lights as well. And some of us, it's like, I can't go, you know how when all the holiday lights change to LED lights, I can no longer go look at holiday lights because it makes me nauseated, because if you're, you know, all of us have one of our senses is more heightened than the other. And definitely mine is eyes and my hearing. but you can see it flicker. It's extremely disruptive to like consistent thought processing.
Yeah.
So I think
So-
children are still able to perceive whether they realize it or not as well. And that study you were talking about, Tyler, they changed it to full spectrum lighting from fluorescent, and the children calmed down. I saw that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the whole LED light that, I mean, if you can't tell that that's an agenda, my
Yeah.
friend of mine, he owns a mechanic shop, and Ameren Electric comes in and like, hey, we're offering, we're replacing all the light bulbs with LED light bulbs for free. It's going to save you all this energy. And they just came in, like they made him set up an appointment and replace the whole shop with LEDs. And they're going around to every business doing that. And obviously you can't even buy an iridescent light bulb anymore, like, or whatever they're called. Because I mean, you probably can, but they're hard to find because all you can find is LED lights. And a friend of mine put a LED light. His light bulb burnt out in his garage, and he put an LED bulb in, and he never connected the dots. But his garage door stopped working. His opener kept malfunctioning, and it's like, what the heck? And he had people come out and everything. He finally talked to somebody. He goes, "Did you put a new light bulb in?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Was it LED?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Take it out and put an old bulb back in." And he did, and it started working. It was emitting that much frequency
Mhm.
that it was disrupting the receiver. So the garage door would not operate. Imagine what it's doing to you in your home.
Well,
And yeah,
the EMFs coming off of those things are off the charts.
right.
People have done EMF meters, and you can document this yourself. You can test it yourself. It's tons of EMFs coming off of LED lights.
1000bulbs.com, by the way. That's where I buy all my incandescent lighting.
1,000 bulbs.
1000bulbs.com.
Incandescent. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
Just in
You're
case
killing
anybody
me.
else.
You're killing me because I'm a technophile. My apartment looks like I'm a teenager. I've got LEDs everywhere. As much as I
It
like
doesn't
switching
bother
the
some
colors,
people. Yeah.
and I've got video games and stuff laying around. I'm living through a second childhood now, so I'll work on that when I grow up.
But you're not the
There you
only
go.
one. Everyone's
grow
homes are filled with LEDs right
Yeah.
now. And
Yeah.
some
Right.
people aren't as like it bothers
Not
me.
as
I can
sensitive.
feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. So I mean I
Well,
wouldn't
and-
recommend it, but
And if you have
maybe-
Wi-Fi or, I mean, so many other things you're being bombarded with EMFs anyway. So just, get organized, get things to help with that. There's a lot of things you can do to help with that. We all need that, no matter,
Right.
if you're on the grid at all, you need help with that.
I've had great success with the Faraday fabrics. I got a giant I have the grounding sheet that's got an EMF blocker on the sheet that's plugged into the wall that grounds.
Nice.
That's super amazing. I just got it because I wanted to block and then have a blanket over.
I sleep with the
I
grounding
plugged
mat.
it into the wall and I ground it out, and I couldn't believe how great I slept after that. I have that and a
Yeah.
blanket, a Faraday blanket, and I super recommend that to everybody. When I wear the Faraday blanket, I dream in color, and when I wrestle around and kick it off of me, I dream in black and white. And so it's that simple. You sleep way better when you block the EMF waves. Also, the program at Inyokern had us out there in Inyokern because there was no EMF signals out in the middle of that boonies from the airfield. So us kids, there were no EMF, there was no electronics right there. They could shut off everything in that portable, Tyler, where it was sitting over the edge. So that was one of the technologies around the remote viewing and the psychoenergetics was to not be exposed to EMF.
Right. Yeah.
That's where I got that from.
Yeah. It
And
affects the psychic abilities.
I used to go out there to Inyo County to Tacoma Hot Springs. I used to go out to the hot springs out there at Tacoma, and that was in Inyo County. So I was out there doing things close to where that place was.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you remember when? What years were you there?
1990s. It was in the 1990s. And there were times we drove out there. I drove out there with some Cherokee lady friends of mine that were teaching me how to be a Cherokee because I have Cherokee blood in me too. And black helicopters were buzzing us on this little bitty backwards hog path of a road to Tacoma Hot Springs. And here comes a big black helicopter, right over us. I mean, come on, what the heck?
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't like
Yeah.
what you guys were doing.
Yeah. They want to see what you're up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend Regina flipped it off.
Nice.
Anyway,
So really quick, just for the people who weren't here at the beginning, if you don't know, we're giving away a free live stream pass to our conference tonight. And all you have to do is go to our new website, journeytotruth.online, and sign up for the email list and send us an email through the website with the word free, all caps, and we will send an email out tomorrow letting you guys know who the winner is. And there are 2 links in the description below that have 10% off discounts for the conference. So if you guys want to come and get a 4-day pass or a live stream pass, if you don't win tonight, you can get 10% off it with the links below. So take advantage of that. And I just wanted to let you guys know in case you missed the beginning. I don't know how long we've been going, but I guess we'll slowly start to wrap this up because there's a lot of us here and I don't know what you guys have going on, but Jackie, I know we barely brushed on what you offer. You have amazing medium abilities, and you do many other things. You host a podcast, so maybe you can let the audience know kind of what you're up to lately and where people can find you.
Yeah, definitely. So easiest place is my website, connectionswithjackie.com. I'm currently, well, starting Monday, leading a book program for soon-to-be authors who are ready to publish their books. And it's a 6-week program. And if all goes well, there will be 10 books out when we finish, which I'm excited about. So yeah, I offer my medium sessions, and then I've really just kind of followed the calling to do more. It's more, I would say, more like business coaching for spiritually inclined people and services, and just helping really expand that into the world. So that's what I'm up to this year, coming back out of my maternity leave.
And what about the podcast?
The podcast is connectionswithjackie.com. It's all about my journey as a medium, also a little bit what it's like to run a spiritual business. And then I have great guests come on and talk about fascinating concepts. I just had a doctor from New York City come on and talk about lots of things. Yeah, she does alternative, can't call it healing or treatments. So she's just doing alternative stuff for people. So
That's
I know we're
amazing.
on Rumble and we have a little bit more liberty now, but you still have to be careful with
Well, I know we
claims.
programmed ourselves not to talk about it.
I
It's
know.
crazy.
I want to
Right.
keep everything on air. But yeah, the podcast is there, and then hopefully, well, definitely my book will be out by the end of April.
And Jackie is a very gifted medium, and I recommend booking a session with her.
Thank you.
I've had a few sessions with her, and she's the real deal, and no doubt. So,
Thank you so much.
mhm. Who wants to go next?
I could.
Okay.
I have 2 websites. One is called encounterswithhealing.com. And the other one is called facingtheshadow, embracingthelight.com. These are my websites. And I guess hardly anybody ever does this. Nobody that I know of does it. But for people that can't afford my book, I have a PDF on my website. And even if you have the book, going and getting the PDF is the free PDF is a good thing, because that way it's in PDF format and it's searchable. So if there's something you want to search on within the book, and it's a 530-page book, I wasn't going to come out and say the things that happened to me without giving a lot of backup research to verify what I was talking about. But anyway, PDF is good to have if you can search it. Of course, I always appreciate when people buy the book, Facing the Shadow, Embracing the Light, on Amazon. And the other thing that I just started doing, because I'm doing so much better these days, I'm not exhausted all the time anymore, is I'm starting to do, I did a training with Dolores Cannon, and I've learned her quantum healing hypnosis technique. And so I'm now starting to do those sessions with people again. They have to be done in person, and they're extremely intensive. And I really am prepared to spend the entire day with my client, because sometimes it really takes that long. We will go under hypnosis, take you under hypnosis. We do 2 to 3 to 4, maybe even 5 hours, but I'm in there as long as it takes, 100% present with my client the entire time. And it's a wonderful process, and I really enjoy doing it, and I'm really glad to be able to be back to doing it. So that's kind of what I'm doing and where I'm at these days. And it's life is just in many ways getting better.
That's beautiful. That's
Beautiful.
beautiful. Thank you
That's
for sharing
amazing.
that. Somebody in the chat just said, talks with Tony tier 3, woohoo. So Tony, you have your Patreon and you have a few different tiers. So maybe you can explain to our audience what you're doing with that and where they can find your books and stuff.
Cool. So you can find everything at TonyRedbriggs.com, and there's links to my Patreon there. I do shows, same thing, interview guests and have a couple shows, 1 or 2 a month that I put out for the tier 1 subscription. And then there's a tier 2, there's a live Q&A once a month that we do, and those can be brutal and in a good way, because we cover a lot of things. Like, it's unadulterated Q&A session in a Zoom format. So those are good, and I record them and post them for those people for that tier. And then there's a remote viewing group that it's been wildly successful. Everybody can do remote viewing. And because of Inyokern and because of tier 3, we were doing remote viewing as a practice. And I thought, man, this is good. I want to offer this in a different capacity and kind of be serious and more serious about it. And we are doing theoretical stuff that's picking up where the military declassification left off. So we've been doing some really cool experiments lately. I'm going to present on it on stage this year, and it's just very successful. It's so much fun. Everybody remote views, and they see what they did, and then we have the reveal, and everybody's shocked that they got it right. And so we beat the odds of better than 1 in 250,000 pretty much every single week. And we're doing other experiments with it. We're breaking off in other areas. On top of learning remote viewing, we're doing other things from it. But the idea is that people can turn off the noise that's in your head from everything else. And when you're remote viewing, you hear the voice that's correct. You hear that intuitive voice that's the correct one. So you understand its pitch, its tone, and you get to know it better, your intuitive voice. So if you remote view all the time, get 100 views on it, you get that voice down, the volume of it, and you recognize it out of all the chatter in your mind. Oh, don't do it, you're going to fail. Oh, I'm hungry, my foot hurts. All these other voices that are going on in your head that are taking you away from your intuitive voice. Your intuitive voice is like, it's okay. It's down there being quiet because it doesn't care. And so when you remote view and you learn how to practice and turn off all the other voices, you are in touch with your intuition. So it's a very valuable thing. And so we don't go into the higher phases of the remote viewing. It's about practice. So it's more like an aerobics class of remote viewing.
Right.
Tier 3, I know that was Ron. I see him out there. Tier 3 is basically like remote influencing. We do synchronized meditations. We do a few tricks, bits and pieces to help it, but we study the phenomenon of that. And what happens is when you meditate with a group of people, synchronized in a synchronized fashion every week, you become like family. There's a bond that happens. It's afterly, and you can tell when a new person comes in, it's like the temperature drops in the room and everybody's kind of not quiet for a minute. Then a couple meditations later, that new person is just like family in the group. And we're meeting only once a week and talking for a couple hours, but there really is a bond. And you can tell, like, there's times when we had our synchronized meditation and I ran away with what I'm doing at home. And I go, oh, it's time. They're meditating. You can feel it. You can feel when it's happening. And you know what I mean? Like, you get to know that. And we have massive results. We heal people. We help people with friendships. We help people in relationships and in their life. You meditate and do that permission first. And then, you believe it. And then your life kind of turns. It's just manifestation. And the way that we police it to where it doesn't get crazy is that everybody in the group has to be unanimously vote on the target. And it's a lot of fun. And it really is a Talks with Tony. We sit around, and because it's a family atmosphere, we talk about all kinds of stuff under the sun. So it's a lot. I do a lot of the live groups on my Patreon, and that's really my bread and butter, And I'm in Jackie's book course too, starting Monday, and working on a remote viewing book that's going to have my Inyokern experience, some of the advanced technology that remains classified. I'm going to put in the book, and it's a brief history of remote viewing and psychoenergetics. It's been with us all through history. Humans are psychic. We all know it. You all are. You're just in denial of it. And unless you are not in denial of it, and then you should practice more like I should, right? So the book is going to be about that, but I can't understate how important that is. For somebody to hold your hand, go through the process, and write a book from start to finish and put it out on Amazon and be published is a big thing. I think 100% of everybody has a good story in them that's worth reading. And I'll say this, and I conviction when I say that 100% of people already have a story today that's worth writing. But I want to say this: if you feel that you don't, if you feel that your life is boring and nobody will read your book, you need to get your ass up and get out there and do some living. So that, like if you can't write a book with it, then you need to fix it. So because we all are a witness, we all are part of creation, witnessing creation and creating creation. So if
Wow.
you have a book in you, and so Jackie's putting this together for people, how amazing is that? It should be everybody should, and she should package this. Jackie, I hope you package this and keep it going. I think it's an amazing thing, and you're going to liberate so many people with this. And like you said, really, they've caught my eyes and opened my eyes. Books aren't censored yet. Get your ass out there and write. There,
Mic drop. Beautiful. And I couldn't agree more. And, Jackie, when you reached out to me and told me about your course, I was really drawn to it, but I really hope you do the second round because I'm going to do it. And Aaron is doing the first round also. So
I'm doing it.
potentially, Aaron, you've been like, this is what's amazing about it. So how long ago would you say you started your book, Aaron?
Oh my gosh. 2019.
There you
I
go.
think. Like when we started the podcast, basically.
So at the end
Long time.
at the end of this program, you're gonna have a book, and it's potentially going to be a first sale at the conference.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It will happen.
Yes.
You're gonna, it's happening.
gonna
It's
happen.
written. It's written.
It's written. It's already
Yeah.
done. Right.
So that's incredible. Yeah.
That.
And somebody in the chat earlier said, I was hanging out around the bonfire with Tony last year. And that's one of the things I wanted to bring up really quick. If you guys don't know, it's so much more than just the information at the conference. Like at the end of the day, we have a bonfire outside. There's a beautiful place to sky watch. And, we all tell our stories that should be written in books, right? And everybody just gets along and it's so much fun. And I don't know if you wanted to just chime in and, how much fun we have around the fire every year, Tony, because it's like my favorite part of the whole.
Well, I hope nobody wipes any magic poop on me this year. But I love the bonfire, and I'm not going to hide from it. So the bonfire is an absolute blast, and we're out there. And I hope. So the other thing is, I haven't seen the schedule. Like I don't want to be talking on the last day so that I can relax at the bonfire because I kind of key up before I talk and present. But the bonfire is the whole reason I'm going. Like even if you didn't ask me back to talk, I was going to go this year. Just for that reason, just to hang out with the crowd there.
Same.
I love people; they're my last hope. But the crowd is a blast. You know what I mean? It's like birds of a feather, and it's an amazing thing. Plus, Niera's going to be there, and Sherry will be there, and Jackie will be there. It's like I can't miss that. Like I don't know where else I'd rather go.
Yeah, I need to know when the bonfire is because I might miss it because I'm leaving one day early.
Oh, you won't.
Oh no, it's every night.
Every night.
Every night.
Okay, yay.
Every single night we fire up the bonfire, and I'm the first one out there going, "Come on!"
Okay.
Even
And then Tyler last year said, "Tony, there is also a Star Watch." I was telling people, I said, "Come on, let's go to the bonfire." After I got off stage, and you said, "There is also a Star Watch, Tony. So don't just take everybody away from that." So, but I'm excited about.
You know what I realized? Like we didn't drive for halfway across the country to go look at the sky. Like the bonfire connects us all. You know what I mean? Like it's such a connecting community.
Right.
Whenever you're.
Well, you can do both. You can do both in the same night if you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Not like
And what's funny is the first year we didn't have the greatest weather and we still built fires in the rain and people were still out there. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So Sherry, can you please let our audience know what you've been up to and where they can find you?
Yeah, well, I just want to plug the conference too. I mean, it's a magical experience and it was one of the best I've ever been to, probably the best I've ever been to. Last year I had the best week. It was incredible. So I look forward to that again. And I just want to say how much respect I have for you and Aaron for putting this together and for all of you on the panel with me right now and everyone else that's on presenting. It's just such an amazing group of people. Everyone's playing their roles and being part of the change. And it really makes me happy to see everybody doing and not just complaining, but because I'm a doer, like what's the solution? And we're doing things together and everyone watching this is wants to be a part of that. So that makes me happy. I have 3 websites. SherryDivBand.com is where you can people can find me, I do my one-on-ones. So during the week, I work with people one-on-one doing soul readings and energy healings, coaching with adults and children. So I'm doing that a lot. I have the Aramis Creative Learning Center, where we offer classes for children and adults on esoteric metaphysical subjects. Anything you can think of that you believe your child should be learning in the indoctrination schools, we have it, and that's for a reason. So every month we offer new varieties of classes. We just added 5 new mentors to the Aramis group, so I'm really excited about that. We have some amazing classes coming up this month on vocal toning and light language and all sorts of amazing things. So we also have the Aramis Collective, which is our nonprofit that kind of funnels all sorts of research and things into the different layers of the projects that I'm working on. My newest book, Courage to Change the Freedom Movement, is coming out this year. It's kind of a part 2 to Starseeds and the Great Awakening, much different than the first 2 books that I wrote. This is really specific, and it's about change and how do we do it and how do we work together. So I'm actually really excited about this book, even more than last year's book that came out a few months after the conference. I'll be at the conference this year. We have 9 children's books out called Divinely Guided Children. It's a series, again, teaching children what I believe that they should be learning from young age about energy and healing, tapping into your higher consciousness, spirit animals, earth elementals, anything you can think of. We have a book on it, and it's a beautiful series for children. So all of my books are available on Amazon. I just want to say one thing before we end tonight, if I may. I want to make sure that everything I do is from a place of integrity, but also I don't want to instill fear in anybody. So anything that we collectively or I individually said tonight that may have triggered anybody to be in a place of fear, that's not our intention, I believe, and certainly is never mine. Anytime I talk about 3D interference or anything that is designed in our reality to suppress us and to make us forget our sovereignty and to cut off and block our innate abilities to heal ourselves and to transmute and transform ourselves and to evolve into better people, and to evolve together as a group. It's about information. So as you know what's going on, you have the ability to make different choices, and you start to see through the illusion, and the matrix begins to break down through a community like ours and others, where we put the information out there so people are aware of all the things that are being done to us and how we're being controlled and manipulated. So it's not coming from a place to put people in fear. It's a place to, it's a way for us to empower those watching this to be better people and to be part of the change. And so I just want to make sure that that's clear tonight, at least in my intention, and saying anything that might have triggered anybody, that my purpose is to inform so that you can be in a place of empowerment and make decisions moving forward, not in fear. So I just wanted to say that tonight to kind of as my last thing, my little last tidbit of information.
Yeah, thank you for that. And are you saying that because of what you said at the conference last year and you had that 83-year-old put you in your place?
No, that was really funny. No, yeah, yes and no, and many other reasons. But I noticed a couple people in the chat saying they were triggered and oh my gosh. And like, I don't want anybody to be afraid about anything we're saying, because we're telling you so that you know, to put you in a place of knowing, and instead of vulnerability.
Yeah, I agree.
There is nothing to fear.
Right. Yeah.
That's, I mean, period. It's all about, right. It's all about knowing so that you cannot give into the illusion of fear, because it's an illusion. It has to get your consent, but there's really nothing behind it. It's all an illusion, because you're an eternal spiritual being that cannot be damaged or killed. The real you cannot be. Anything that can be damaged or killed is not reality. Which is why this physical reality it's basically like a dream world. That's why it decays and it can be harmed or whatever. Because it's a manifestation. It's real on that level, but the realist part of you is infinite.
Non-physical. Yeah,
it's not physical, it's infinite, and it's way beyond the physical. And when you realize that, what is there to fear? Why would you ever fear?
Right.
There's nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. So just one last reminder, a little shameless self-promotion. Thanks again, Jackie, for the new website. And if you haven't checked out, you haven't checked out the new website, journeytotruth.online, and you can go there, sign up for the email list, and send us an email with the word free, and you'll enter yourself to win a free live stream pass for the conference. And if you want to save 10% on a 4-day pass or a live stream pass, those links are below for a limited time only. So take advantage of that discount. And don't forget about our Patreon. We have a number of webinars and exclusive content over on our Patreon. The latest one was the Q operation. And the next one is going to be on the music industry. And Jackie psychically tapped into that today. I don't know if it's scary or impressive, but either way. So we're really excited about that. But there's actually a lot surfacing about the music industry right now. And it's like all just showing up, and people are getting slammed in the face with what is going on behind the scenes, and the level of corruption, I guess that's a light way of putting it, honestly, that happens in that realm. So we're going to be covering all that, down to some really rare information that we've come across as well. So we hope you are excited about that like we are. And thank you guys all for being here tonight. This was a lot of fun. And man, I can't wait to see you guys all in person. We're gonna have a blast.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I can't wait to just go outside and look at the sun tomorrow.
No shit. Yeah.
Super motivated now. I'm like,
too.
I'm gonna make an effort. So I'm go for a walk. It's actually been freakishly nice. So I didn't expect that tonight to have that conversation, but I think everybody learned a lot from it because we all had info. We all put in info in the hats. It was great.
Yeah, it was unexpected, but
exactly.
I love that whenever it's just, it's organic like that. So
Jackie, we have tons and tons of sunlight here in Southwest Colorado.
Amazing. I must have sensed that.
Yeah.
Let's all just move there.
Yeah.
right.
Just move to Southwest Colorado.
It's ironic. It's interesting that all the people that flooded to Florida in the past couple of years, and now it's getting hit with the trails and all that stuff. I mean, it's no coincidence, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys all for being here tonight. Thank you to the audience. And if you feel compelled at all to join us, rebelsofdisclosure.com, you can find all the information about the conference there, May 13th through the 16th in Grafton, Illinois. Grab your ticket today before they sell out, and we hope to see you there. And good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.